Shut up, ATF. I'm not going to tell you how many guns I have, but I have more than 5. Howdy folks, you're watching Deuce, and today we're talking about how one lives when owning an NFA item. An NFA item would be something that's registered with the ATF under the National Firearms Act laws, such as suppressors, which I have several of right here. Also, short barrel rifles, which I have one right there. Also machine guns, which I do not have because I am not rich, and also destructive devices such as like 20mm rifles, and if you happen to have a RPG laying around that's actually active. So we're going to talk about what it's like having those in your house. What kind of rules and regulations do you have to follow while enjoying the hobby of shooting with NFA items? So as stated, this right here is a short barrel rifle. It has a rifle barrel that is under 16 inches in length, which makes this an SBR or short barrel rifle. Now, what's cool about it is that the only thing on an AR-15 that is registered is this lower part right here. And that's what it looks like when it's disassembled. I cannot disassemble it on YouTube because YouTube frowns upon that. So all you register is this part, and then you can put this upper on there, which is a 5.56. I can also put down this upper on there as well. And this is a 300 blackout, which is nice. Not a 309 like it looks like on the camera, but it's a 300 blackout. Also, this is a 10 inch. This is also a 10 or 10.5 inch barrel. Great for NATO rounds, 5.56 and 300 blackout. Just purrs out of the 10 inch barrel. Highly recommended as long as you have a registered short barrel rifle lower. And then we have suppressors. We got a suppressor here from Silencer Co. Another suppressor here from Silencer Co. Got one in here as well. A bunch of tools as well are in here that I keep for all the suppressor parts, because there's all kinds of little doodads and jimmy lickets that you got to put onto your suppressor to adapt to every single pistol and rifle that I own. So what are the rules and regulations for shooting, owning, and enjoying my suppressors and my short barrel rifle? Well, number one is travel. That's one of the biggest issues that people get really confused about, is traveling with your suppressors, with your short barrel rifles, or if you're lucky enough, with your machine guns. Luckily, the most common NFA item people own are suppressors. And suppressors are the easiest to live with as far as travel is concerned. The reason being is that there's no interstate travel issues with a suppressor as long as the state you're going to allows suppressor ownership. So I'm in Tennessee. If I want to take my suppressor and go to a house or a shooting range in South Carolina or in Georgia, I am good to go. I do not have to inform the law enforcement. I don't have to fill out any forms. But the same thing cannot be said for my short barrel rifle or a machine gun or a destructive device. If I want to go across state lines with my short barrel rifle here, I have to fill out this form right there. That is a 5320.20. Most of us in the shooting world just call it a .20 form. In this video, I am not going to go over exactly how to fill that form out. There are many YouTube channels and new YouTube videos out there that do a great job at explaining exactly how to fill that form out. Go to them. They're much better explaining it than I am. Basically, you got to fill that form out and tell the ATF where you're going, what time, and how long you're going to be there. However, there is one group of people that's exempt from the .20 or Form 20 requirements for your SBR and machine guns, and that is people with their own FFL, Federal Firearms License. And I know exactly what many of you just thought. I have a Curio Relic, a CNR FFL license. Will that work? Only if the short barrel rifle or your machine gun is considered a Curio Relic rifle. So if you have a Thompson submachine gun, yes, an original Thompson would fall under the CNR license, and you could use that FFL for that. If you have an AR-15, this happens to be made by Anderson Manufacturing, that you made into a short barrel rifle and had that registered, your CNR license will not work for that. That is not considered a Curio Relic aged rifle. It has to be at least 50 years old for it to be a Curio Relic. As far as transferable machine guns go in the United States, they were cut off at anything manufactured before 1986. So anything after that cannot be transferred to a civilian anyway. Because of that, by May of 2036, every transferable machine gun will be 50 years old or older, meaning all machine guns transferable to normal civilians will be covered under a CNR license. So you want to plump down about 10 grand for your MAC 10 right now. In about 12 years, you'll be able to carry that from one state to another firearms friendly state without filling out a Form 20. Before we get into the storage of these items here, let's go over one last thing about travel with an NFA item. This is just a camera bag that I keep my 22 suppressors in here, but in here I also keep copies of my tax stamps. Not my original tax stamps, my copies of the tax stamps. My original ones are safely locked away elsewhere off site. But always keep a copy of these with you, even if you're just going to your local range, because you never know what's going to happen, and that could save you a heap of trouble. Now, legally speaking, a police officer, a highway patrol officer, or whatnot, they cannot demand to see a tax stamp for your individual items here. But they can detain you until an ATF officer arrives to review this, and they can legally request to see your tax stamps. Now let's talk about how you store these items in your house. As long as your state does not have any kind of state-specific storage guidelines for firearms in general, then they are under the same requirements as everything else, which means basically, as long as you just keep it in your house and your house is locked when you're not there, you're pretty much good to go. But the problem is, what if you have friends over? Even if these things are out in the open, as long as you're there, then you are supervising basically of their presence, of your friend's presence, even though they legally cannot take them home or be alone with them. As long as you're there with them, everything's good to go. And that leads us to today's sponsor, Blacksmith Safes. Now, normally they make pistol safes, small stuff that goes underneath your bed or in your cabinet or whatnot, ready for quick access. But now they've started making these larger safes here that are still compact in nature. They can still be shipped to your house. You can still move them around, kind of. Oh, this one's pretty heavy. But they're not going to be as robust or as crazy to deal with as one of those big, huge safes that takes up half your living room. But these are better than like a gun cabinet. And they are still electronic. You have a code, a key code here. The default one, I think, is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, okay. There we go. And you can close it. And you can also use your thumbprint. Oh, I've got the wrong hand there. There we go. I've not put my left hand in there yet, so my right hand can open this safe. My left hand can't be trusted. Inside here you have room for 5 rifles, which I'm not going to be using this for all my rifles because I have... Shut up, ATF. I'm not going to tell you how many guns I have, but I have more than 5. I'll be using this to store away my short barrel rifle and my suppressors and keep them away from people that are not listed on my trust when I or someone that's on my trust is not at home, but other people are. So it's got plenty of room for rifles here. Here's my dissipator I can put in there if I wanted to. And my short barrel rifle here. Now it also has a shelf up here that's removable, so you can put some big, huge, long hunting rifles in there if you want to. Got some big pins on it too. Look at those suckers. Those big old pins there. And I'm gonna throw my documents, my 22 suppressors in there, and my snacks for later. Put those in there as well. The door also has these handy little pockets for all of your Soviet pistol needs. The reason why I need to lock up my NFA items is because sometimes I'm not at home when someone else is at my house. And if I have my short barrel rifle in my house or one of my suppressors in my house and they're not locked up, then the ATF considers that a transfer. And you cannot transfer a short barrel rifle or suppressor without going through a dealer, a Class 3 firearms dealer, to do that transfer. Here is the real life and hilarious scenario of why I need to lock up all my NFA items in this safe. Every now and again, I go on vacation. I'm gone for a week, sometimes 2 weeks at a time. Rarely, but it does happen. And when I'm gone, I have many animals at my house, which is also where I typically have a short barrel rifle and my suppressors located. Well, the person who comes into my house, they are not listed on my trust. They're not listed as ownership of any of these NFA items. What's hilarious is that, we'll call him Big D. Big D is in the Air Force. My tax dollars not only pay his salary, but have bought him a beautiful M4 fully automatic machine gun. Yet, he cannot be trusted around my Anderson Manufacturing short barrel rifle. He cannot be trusted around my Silencer Co. Octane 45. He cannot be trusted around those, but he can be trusted around multi-million dollars, even billion-dollar machines. And of course, a fully automatic M4 at his ready at all times. So with that, he can be trusted with, but not a Silencer Co. hybrid. Bear in mind, just owning an NFA item, a suppressor, a short barrel rifle, or a machine gun, it does not give the ATF the right to just come into your house and inspect your storage or inspect your collection. They cannot do that by just having an NFA item in your possession legally. But if you decide to go with the FFL route, the CNR FFL or a normal FFL, then that does give them the right to do that. The ATF can come in and inspect your collection, inspect your paperwork, inspect your bound book. If you're an FFL, you know what a bound book is. They can inspect that at any time and place, and they will. And again, a huge thank you to Blacksmith Safes here for sponsoring this video. Super, super convenient. You can get in with your thumb or any kind of fingerprint. You can also put in a code, and if the battery dies inside, you can use a key or put up a battery pack right there. You can plug in a battery pack and energize the whole thing just in case. There we go. I was still going to put my left hand in there because, again, my left hand could not be trusted. Well, guys, that's for me today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like and go subscribe. A lot more is on the way. If you have any comments, questions, show what it is, leave that down in the comments down below. I try to answer as many of those as possible. And as always, you guys have a great day. See ya.